We are really excited to have you on our call, and I so appreciate you being willing to speak to our small group and share your wisdom. And you've been a friend of mine for many years now, which has been fun. And I can't. I was trying to think how we even met. I think I called you based on a book you wrote, right? I think it was
I
the
probably
Black
find that
Book.
out if I went into my contacts because I have notes on you. Everybody, in fact, long time. That's
Yeah,
what I was actually. Been a long time for sure.
it's good you have notes on. It's better than me. I don't have notes on people. But anyway, I think I called you because I loved your book, Little Black Book of Scripts. And I also love this book, you guys, Fearless Networking. So if you don't have this, I actually have a few copies left from last time Todd spoke, but this is so worth getting. And Little Black Book of Scripts, and he's written, I don't even have all these books here that you've written. You've got Insider Secrets to Recruiting Professionals, Leadership Evolution, and he also runs an A team, which Patty Benson has been in, right, Patty? Yep. And so Todd's going to tell you a little bit about that tonight as well. But you guys, Todd Falcone has been in the industry for over 30 years. He's been a speaker and a trainer for the industry with over 10,000 people in a room. He's spoke in over 30 countries. And he's really one of the top trainer. In my opinion, he's the top trainer in the industry. And I love you, Todd, because you share things from your heart and the way it is and from your experience. You're not just some guy that came along and decided to start to train people. He's actually built super successful businesses in network marketing. And tonight he's going to talk to you guys about cultivating relationship capital. And I thought it would be such a great event for those of you that could get on. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Well, what's up, everybody? Good evening. Hello. I'm jamming on the phone. I think I've 50 or 60 conversations today. I logged them all, which I log all my conversations so I can count later. And I've got 3 hours of back-to-back training. You guys are second in line. So excited to be here. And thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come and learn. I think that's a beautiful thing, that inquisitive, curious nature. And I would love to see comments like how long have been involved in the network marketing professions. And if you put 2 and it's 2 months, put 2 months. If it's 2, put 2 years. I'm kind of curious. I always to know who I'm talking to. As Reagan mentioned in the professional. Yep.
We're hearing you twice.
You're hearing me twice.
Yeah. Are you on your phone too, by chance?
No, definitely not.
Are you guys hearing me twice? No, just Todd.
Okay, well, let me see if I can pull this mic out and do it in a different way, and I'll have to reset that. Hang on a second. Let me just.
Okay, we'll wait. It's worth the wait.
Hang on, it's the back of my computer. So let's see here. Okay, can we try now?
Perfect.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna have to restart my computer. I'm getting echoes off the good mic. So. All right. So first of all, again, thanks for having me. Anytime I get in front of an audience of network marketers, I'm always eager to share. When I started 30 plus years ago, I just wanted to know how, right? How do you do this? How do you make it happen? How do you succeed? This makes sense to me. I get it conceptually, but how do I win? And I think that's in any network marketing audience. If I come speak, whether it's in a Zoom or if it's live and in person, I mean, people are coming there because they want to know how to win. And I want to share a story with you and teach the lessons within the story, because I had in mid 2019, I do Zooms and podcasts, and I've been on so many different calls and webinars and Zooms and all of that, but I had this radio show that wanted to interview me, and they wanted to talk to somebody who was really successful in network marketing and had longevity in the profession. And they sought me out, and they fully vetted me, and I didn't give them my financials, but they asked me about my career. And I said, honestly, and probably at least the last 29 of the 31 years, I've never had a bad year. I've never had an implosion. I've never had this roller coaster ride, have a great year, have a horrible year, have a great year, have a horrible year in a business that, can probably in some cases have volatility. I mean, you're fortunate to be in a company that's got more longevity than, most of the companies out there. Right. So we were about 10 minutes into this interview, and this guy asked me, he said, so I got to know, like, what's the one reason why you've never had a financial implosion? And I said, I can't really answer the question because of the way you asked it. I can easily answer the question, but it's two answers. I'll give it to you right now. I said, number one, I want you guys to write this down because I think this is really important. Like when I look back at my career and I go, okay, well, why have I been successful? Like I didn't know anything about network marketing. I'd never heard of it, got started in it, wanted to be successful, started seeking out answers, started to do the work. Sometimes I was doing the work wrong or not very good. And I was always like eager to learn, like being inquisitive, like I mentioned when we started here. And I said to the guy, I said, listen, I said, here's one reason. And I'll give you the main reason. But number one is I never let a day pass without doing some type of revenue producing activity. Like, I don't care how busy I am or how much other ancillary responsibilities that there might be in my day. Every single day that I show up to put time into my business, I'm reaching out to people to grow my business. Now, even as a speaker or a trainer, that's what I do. I still do the same things as a trainer that I did as a network marketer. The only difference is I'm talking to top leaders and owners of network marketing companies and C-level executives. So when I was in the field, like I just made I made this rule for myself. I said, look, I'm just never, like if I show up in the office, even though I've got, Zoom, back then, not Zooms, but conference calls and other stuff to support the team and people calling me and needing my help. As your team grows, your responsibilities begin to shift a little bit. You got individuals in the group that need your help or don't understand something, or they need you to talk to one of their people or whatever it might be. Even if I was super busy with team building stuff, I always reserve time for myself for personal production. And I just want you to understand, before I even get into the main content, how important that is. How important it is that no matter, what else you've got going on, every single day, you should be focused on some type of personal production, revenue producing activity. That means reaching out to somebody purposefully, intentionally, sharing your products and or your business. And in my opinion, please don't get mad at me. I mean, you can get mad at me for a second, but then you're gonna have to go look in the mirror afterwards, because that's the person you should have like the conversation with, because this is a self-employed, accountable type of business. And in some cases, we need to learn to be we need to learn to be self-employed, or we need to learn to be accountable, because most of us have had our parents, teachers, and jobs and bosses hold us accountable up until we become self-employed. Now you're at home, you're like, oh my gosh, I can do whatever I want. You can do a lot, or you can do a little. You can lay on the couch, you can do laundry, you can talk to people, you can, whatever, right? And it requires a level of discipline that, because nobody's gonna make you do this. You're gonna do this because you see it and you want to do it. And we have to find a way within ourselves to show up every day in the way that matters the most. And the thing that, and I don't think any of you, even if you're newer, would disagree with the fact that, okay, if I'm going to make money here, I got to put people on these products, and I got to grow a team, and I got to go recruit some people and work my way through the compensation plan. And the only way that you do that is by reaching out to people and exposing people to what you do. That's like where the rubber meets the road. I mean, that's it, right? And I mean, honestly, what else is there? I know that we've got other responsibilities. I'm sure I can come back at a later date and talk about team building and leadership, but that's not the subject matter tonight. And so I told that guy, I said, listen, I said, I don't ever let a day pass, ever. Not one. Like it's part, like when people ask you like, well, and then people ask me all the time, like, well, can you give me an idea of like your DMO, your daily method of operation, or what do you do daily, right? That's like a pretty common question from people that are, trying to figure out network marketing. It's like, what should I focus on? And my DMO is RPA, right? Revenue producing activities. The DMO for me is RPA. Now there might be other things that I do. And now we live in this kind of social media, Facebook world as well. And, you got to go out there and, put interesting posts up and respond to other people's stuff and engage in content and all of that, which are ancillary responsibilities that may lead to revenue. But the one thing that's going to lead to revenue is you reaching out to somebody, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or on the phone or text message, and say, listen, I've got something I'm doing. I'm super excited about it, and I'd love to show you what I'm up to, or whatever the invite is. I'm just like throwing out an example of an invite. I mean, invites can be done in any number of ways. But when I answer that question, I mean, that to me is like, and I would ask you to ask yourself, do you do that every day? And you don't need to answer me. It's like, it doesn't matter for me. It's like, if you look back at the last 60 days, 90 days, can you honestly say that every single day that you've showed up for your business, that you have personally done something every single day where it's an intentional business building reach out? And the truth is, most network marketers, even like leaders in network marketing, cannot answer yes to that question. But I think it's something that if you never ever want to worry about whether you're rank advancing in the comp plan, wonder how your check might be trending, whether your business is growing or not. If you get yourself into that simple daily habit, that simple daily discipline of every single day you're doing revenue producing activities, you will never have to worry about what's going on in your business. It's like, you'll just never have to worry about it. And I think that that's something that's important to point out, because like when this guy was asking me the question, that was what I told the guy. And I said, I go, and really, and this really is subject matter of tonight is, I said, the big reason why I've never had an implosion is because I'm a relationship builder. And I learned a long time ago, I don't remember where, but I just remember like hearing people buy from those that they like and trust, right? People do business with individuals that they feel good about. And this would be a really great exercise for you to do. I'll give you the exercise now. You can do it later. It's very powerful, actually. If you're taking notes, take a piece of paper, split it down the middle, put a line through the middle, and on the upper left-hand side of the page, I don't know, whatever you want, you can type it or you can write it down, businesses I love. On the upper right-hand side of the page, or actually put on the left-hand side of the page, businesses and people I love. Outside of your family, we should always obviously love our family, right? And then on the right side of the page, put businesses, you don't need to say I hate, but businesses I'll never go back to ever again, or people I will never spend any time with again, just so we're clear on what the columns are. Then I want you later, not now, but to write down the specific names of people or businesses that you go back to over and over and over again. Like, why do you always go back to that same restaurant? Why do you always go back to the same dry cleaner? Why do you always go back to whatever it is? I'm not even talking about network marketing, because business success is universal. So, and then on the right side of the page, write down, and I'm sure we can think of them, people you'll never do business with again, right? Or businesses you'll never do business with again, or whatever. And like, a quick example on that side, like the house that I live in today, I flew into Bend, Oregon, and I had a realtor that I found probably 6 of the 10 houses I looked at. We looked at 10 houses one day. I bought the very first house I looked at, which is what I'm living in here today. This woman literally worked with me for one day, and I've never heard from her since we closed escrow. Can you believe that? I come in and one day, she didn't even know me. It's like some dude coming into town. I buy a house in a day. Very few people do that. I flew into that. She didn't know who I was the day before, flew in, bought a house the very next day. And post-closing, I've never once heard from her. Do you think she's ever going to get any referrals from me? Never. She's actually been great fodder for me to talk about what not to do in business. And I would never, throw her under the bus and, use her name or anything. I'm not like that. But, on the other hand, Donita Dickinson, for example, who was my realtor for multiple transactions up in Seattle, if you were moving someplace in Seattle and needed a realtor, I'd refer you to her all day long because of how she's made me feel. She was so on top of it. The day we were moving, she brought sandwiches and stuff when we didn't have any food. She came by a week later. How you guys doing? You settled in the neighborhood. She came by another week after that. Hey, I've got this, this gift, housewarming gift. And she's always stayed in contact. She's made an effort. And so that's the example. So I want you to have that personal enlightening moment by writing down the specific names of companies or people on the left side and on the right side, and then writing the reasons why you go back to, and you'll always go back to, and the reasons why you won't. And then it's all going to surface for you. And then you have to go, how can I be like the column on the left? How can I not be the column on the right? Because this business is a people business. It's a relationship business, right? People will do business with you because they like you. They feel good about you. They trust you. Now it has to be coupled with something, right? It has to be coupled with a need, a want, a dissatisfaction. I have low energy. I'm not making enough money. I'm too stressed out. I don't like my career. I'm not feeling as good as whatever. So it has to, some of your friends might buy product to do you a favor, to do you a solid. Yeah, I'll buy it. I don't really need it or don't feel like I need it, but I'll give you some money, be your customer, right? But that's not how we build a career. So we build a career by being problem solvers, by helping people who have something going on in their life and being able to be a solution provider. That's what I believe we are as network marketers. We're solution providers, financially and otherwise. And so when I discovered that people tend to do business with individuals that they like, I'm like, cool, I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be the guy that does things where people feel good about me. And so I also want to share this before I even get any deeper into this, because sometimes when I train on this subject, people will, because I'm going to be talking about building relationship capital. And I don't want you to lose sight of daily production. I've already mentioned that. But sometimes when I get into the conversations, like, oh, so I just go out and build relationships and do all these things that Todd is saying, and I don't take, when do I invite them? You have people that you have relationships right now that that trust you and like you. You should be inviting those people right now. The relationship isn't necessarily needing to be built, but what I want to do for you is help you create a situation for yourself where long-term, you are really the only logical choice when it comes to a business decision. Like when people think about you, they're thinking great thoughts. Like we've all had, friends or family members. We go over to their house. Like I got some interesting family members. Let me just tell you that. And I have family members, I'll go to their house and it's like, oh my gosh, Carla and I will come home and it's like, I'm going to take a shower. She's like, you took a shower like right before we went to their house. I'm like, yeah, but I need to wash all the ickiness off of me. Like I got to get it off of me. Right. Some of us have experienced that where you're around people that have got, so much drama and negativity. And it's like, you literally want to get it off of you. And then the opposite, you'll meet people, then there's something about them and the way they make you feel and the way that they listen to you and they actually care. And you're just like, you want to hug them and you want to be close to them and you want to like, sometimes like, I want to rub up against that person and get some of what they got because whatever they got is really attractive. And I'm not even talking physically attractive. I'm just saying, like charisma. What's the definition of charisma? The definition of charisma is a compelling attractiveness or charm, right? And so we know people that are charismatic, and I also firmly believe that we can learn to be more charismatic. The charisma is, some people it's natural, they just got it. But if charisma is a compelling attractiveness or charm, how can we be more attractive to a person? And it has everything to do with how we make them feel. Like, a couple of examples, like I've already kind of mentioned, like one thing you don't want to do is bring the drama or negativity. I know we as network marketers, we're always so positive. We never have problems. We never go, I need to vent. I have to tell you about this. I mean, I'm not saying that we don't ever like share like stuff, but we all have people that like when you're around them, they're negative all the time. And it just becomes not fun to be around and you want to spend less time with those people. If you can create a situation where when you encounter somebody or you engage with somebody, you leave them feeling better than having experienced you before, that's winning for you. You can't help but create a situation where people just, man, I was with Falcone, he made me feel great. I want to hang out with Falcone again, right? Versus I was with Falcone, all he did was blah, 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 drama, and negative. It's like, okay, I don't need to see that guy for 6 months, right? So, I mean, these are things that, some of these things are, seem simple or common sense, but sometimes people, we got our stuff. And look, there's been stuff that's gone on in 2020. Have you noticed? I mean, it's been a really great year, right? It's been so positive. I mean, there's been so much stuff that's gone on. This has been an interesting year. And it's been, I mean, even with the year, people have struggled with their mindset for sure, right? Their attitude. It's like, even if you're the most positive, strong, powerful, strong-willed person, you can be impacted by what's happened with COVID and protests and other things that have been going on. And it can definitely impact you. And so, I just think it's really important for you to understand, again, if people do business with individuals that they like, that they feel good about, that they trust, you got to ask yourself, what can I do that's different from other people to make people feel differently about me? Like, for example, if the only time that you reach out to somebody is when you want something, you're surely not going to get it. Like if the only time you reach out to John is to tell him about Juice Plus again, but you hadn't talked to John in 6 months, and the last time you talked to John was about 6 months ago about Juice Plus, and then he's not interested again, and then it's 6 months again, and you go back to him again, but you hadn't talked to him in between. You're gonna tell him about Juice Plus again. It's like, hey, he's gonna go like, the only time you call me is when you want to tell me about this Juice Plus thing. That ain't gonna work for you. I look at relationships like plants. Plants need to be watered, fertilized, tended to. They need to be nurtured. Relationships need to be nurtured. Quick example, like I grew up in Seattle, Washington for 17 years. I moved to Long Beach, California, lived there for 10, moved to Monterey, California, lived there for 11, moved back to Seattle for 8, moved to Scottsdale for 5 years, and I've been in Bend, Oregon now for 4. Now you know where I've lived. What the heck does that have to do with this training? Well, it has everything to do with it because my bros from elementary, junior high, high school, my friends from Long Beach State, my friends from my bubble in Scottsdale and every other place that I've lived, when you're not living near them, it can be easy for you just to not be in contact with them. Some of you have moved, you're super tight, you move someplace else, and then it's easy to not stay in contact. Well, I've been the guy who's maintained contact just to reach out and say, what's up? How's it going? How are you? Just to see how, and in many of those cases, in fact, very few exceptions, had I not done that, virtually every one of those relationships would have dried up. And I'm not going to be like, well, dude, you never call me. It's a two-way street. I don't care. I'm going to do what I'm going to do to maintain the relationship. And I mean, quick example, Bart Scott, met Bart Scott in 2nd grade in Mrs. Johnson's class. Have not physically seen Bart Scott since 1984. That's a long time. We used to go fishing together growing up. If I reached out to Bart today and said, Bart, listen, I'm doing this business. I've been thinking about you for a while. I'd love to show you what I'm doing. I've got this product that's really changed my life. He would respond favorably to the message versus, can you imagine I hadn't talked, because I've maintained contact with him on Facebook, on phone calls. And even though we're not close to each other, even though it's not super regular, I have made an effort. I've been perceived as having made an effort. Can you imagine if I hadn't talked to Bart since 1984, find him on Facebook, like, Bart Scott, pick up the phone, call him, hey, Todd Falcone. He's going to be like, who? Dude, this is Todd Falcone. We met second grade, Mrs. Johnson's class. We used to go fishing at Silver Lake with your dad, blah, blah, blah. You don't remember me? He's like, oh, God, I think so, but it's been a long time, man. Hey, I've got this amazing business. I've been thinking about you. It kind of comes off a little creepy, right? It's like a little weird. It's like you're calling me out of the blue, made no contact for, I don't know, 3 decades, and you're going to reach out to me about this business. It's not going to work out good for you. And I've got guys that call me. I mean, I'm pretty well connected in the network marketing space. And there's a couple people in particular that when my phone rings, they get the red button. You notice how you got 2 buttons on your phone, red and green? The green button is for people I want to talk to. Every time he gets it, now it's the red button, because the last 3 times he's called me, he's never called me for anything but to pitch me a new deal. And it's like, dude, like, if you would just reach out to me and have some relationship, we don't have to be besties, we don't have to be buddies, but I mean, reach out and say, Falcone, how you doing? What's going on? I see that you moved from Scottsdale to Bend, Oregon. How is that place? It looks pretty cool. Looks like you're having a good time. And we're connected on Facebook, but the only time he reaches out to me is when he wants something and he ain't getting nothing, right? So this is a strategy from now until eternity. This is your new way of doing things. Now, by the way, Reagan, we met, Pamela Herman introduced us. That's how we connected, right? Now, how do I know that? I don't remember. My brain's not that good. The reason I remember is because I've got notes on every contact. I want to teach you something as well that has made really one of the biggest differences in my network marketing career. So in my business career, like, you meet somebody, okay, and we'll do it. We may do this exercise. I'll have to make up my mind here in a second. But every time I meet somebody, I have notes. Like, I literally log every bit of business building activity. This is like part of today and the rest of today. So I had a very busy day. Every call I make, every email, if I'm reaching out on business, every text, every Facebook message, I log it. So I actually have records of every bit of business building activity in chronological order. And this is a tool that I created for myself. And the reason I do that is because, like, as I'm making calls, I'm getting to know somebody or having a conversation, I am taking notes on things that were important in that conversation. And then let's say I met you, I don't know, some business mixer called you, engaged in conversation, got to know you a little bit more. And I'm thinking, man, this person's pretty cool. Maybe they're looking at my business today. Maybe they're not. Either way. And I know I want to talk to them again. I'm going to add them into my computer, which would sync into my phone. Pretty simple stuff. And I'm going to make sure I have notes where we met, how we met, who referred you to me, what the date was, what we talked about, what your favorite color is, if that came up in conversation, whatever I felt was important for me to remember. You know what? I've done this in front of huge audiences and of, like, network marketers that are like, I'm in this thing. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna, you don't need to answer. How many of you take notes on every single person that you add to your phone? Don't tell me. I already know that the answer is it's mostly not. I don't have anybody on my phone that I don't have notes on. I've been doing this for over 20 years. Like, if I met you, I've got notes. I was sitting in Salt Lake City probably 8 years ago with this guy, and I heard his name, and we were at this lunch. Brandon, I heard his last name, and I'm like, oh, I knew it. I remember. I was like, wait a minute, Brandon. I'm like, hey, we met in 1997 at blah, 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 and you were in company X. He's like, how the heck do you know that? I'm like, I was sitting next to him, so I said, I got notes on you, but I don't like, let's say the last time we were talking and you were like, I can't talk right now. My daughter got into a ski accident. I'm running to the hospital. She broke her leg, and we had missed contact for a while, and lots of stuff happens between contacts, and now I'm finally getting back to you. And I call you back up and I'm like, hey, by the way, how's your daughter doing? Last time we were chatting, you were running out to the hospital. Is she doing okay? And you're like, oh my gosh, you remember, how thoughtful, right? Right? I don't say, oh, I have notes on you. I don't need to say that. But the notes make me smarter, right? And so if we take the time to take the notes, doesn't it show that we care more than other people, that if we actually took the notes? How many of you have somebody in your phone and the guy's name is John or Sarah or Sally, and there is no last name, and you're like, I don't have a clue who that person is. I don't even know. Who is John? Yeah, I know most of you are like, yeah, I got that person. So there's an exercise. Let's do this really quickly. I want to do a really quick exercise. It's very, very powerful. I actually do this in my accountability program, and I just want to do a short example of it with you really quickly. For those of you,
question first.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you say you're taking notes, what are you using? Are you on your phone to take notes? Are you just using the notes app, or are you doing a contact?
Now, I have this thing. I made this for me. It's on my website. It's called the Fearless Networking Prospecting Partner.
Okay.
And it's basically an activity log. So it allows me to, anytime I do any kind of reach out, a phone call, a text message, an email, and it's a business, if I called my brother, it's not a business building thing, I'm not going to log it, but if it's for business, I log it. And then, LM left message or TXT text and whatever we talked about, whatever the purpose of the conversation was. And if I felt that I needed to take those notes and add it to the contact record as a permanent record, I put it in there. And I actually, I used to use something called an Adams S1185, which is like some standard company. And problem was, like, I get halfway through this thing and then it would start to fall apart. So I had my team make this for me. We actually sell them on my website, and it's pretty cool. But so that's this thing goes with me everywhere I go. If I'm traveling, it goes in my briefcase or my backpack. If I'm here on my desk, it's always open on my desk. And that way, also, what's cool is I can look at a day and I can go, wow, look at all of the activity I did today, right? Like if you wanted to be more accountable to yourself and your business building activity, if I was your sponsor and I said, hey, Jill, how many people have you reached out to in the last couple of days? And you're like, I don't know. Or I can tell you, I reached out to 9 people yesterday. I reached out to 11 people the day before. You would know because you're actually tracking the revenue producing activity, which I think is a really important thing to do in this business, because a lot of people will kid themselves into believing that they're being productive, but they're really being busy, right? And it's the productivity that matters. So real quick, for those of you that you have your cameras off, unless you're naked, please don't. I had a naked person on my Zoom, so I have to say that. I don't care if you showered today. Most of us are home. It's cool. Can you turn your camera on real quick? We're just going to do a quick exercise, and then we'll get back into it. If you're able to turn your camera on so I can see you, it'd be beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for obliging. A couple of you are on your phones or pads. I see a few of you that are in vertical format. Do me a favor. The rest of you, grab your phone real quick. I'm going to do a quick exercise for you. I know it's right next to you. People say the phones don't work anymore, but why do we live with our phones? We sleep with our phones. We have our phones on ourselves at all times, right? So you got your phone on you. This is a really powerful exercise and a new habit for you to get into. So open up your address book and go to the letter A. So open up your address. While we're here, don't skip this exercise. I mean, you guys are here because you want to win, right? So, all right. So open up the address book, go to the letter A, and start at the very beginning of the alphabet. No judgment, no thoughts. Just look until you find a person where it's been 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months or more. You're going to look at the name. You're like, I haven't talked to that person in like 2 years. And it shouldn't take you guys very long to find the person. Anybody who was the very first person on your list? All right. It always happens, right? Now, here's what you're going to do. Open up a text message to that person right now. Okay. And I'm going to tell you exactly what to say in your own words. This is called a re-engagement exercise. This is building relationship capital and making an emotional deposit. Because we can't go to a bank and make a withdrawal from an empty account, nor can we make a withdrawal from a person's emotional account if we haven't made deposits, nurtured that plant, nurtured that relationship. So what you're going to do in your own words, you're going to send a text. Reagan, Todd Falcone, what's up? How's it going? Holy smokes, how you doing? It's been too long. We need to catch up. Whatever. If you don't say what's up or use your own language, you know what to do. And I'm sure you don't say, hi, Reagan, this is Todd Falcone. How are you today? I hope you are doing just fine. Fantastic. However, just short, sweet. Let's catch up. It's been too long. I was just thinking about you and I would love to reconnect with you. Send. Not ... I'm going to tell you about this thing. This is not a business building thing right here. I mean, you may talk about the business, which certainly may lead for you to talk about the product of the business, but that's not the purpose. So now you press send. It should take you seconds. You should be done almost already. You're done. Hold up your phone when you're done. Short, easy text message. Cool. The rest of you are catching up. Now, one of 3 things will happen, and only one of 3 things. One, your phone is going to ring right now because they're so excited to have heard from you. Please don't answer the phone in my Zoom. Just press the red button, send them back a text message and say, hey, I'm finishing up a meeting. Definitely want to catch up with you. I'll get back to you in a bit. Okay, that's totally acceptable. Or they're going to text you right back and they're like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you. Or holy smokes, yes, you're right. Oh yes, I'm so glad to hear from you. Or 3, they're going to say, who is this? And they're only saying, who is this? Because they don't have you saved in their phone. How does that? I mean, they don't have you saved in their phone. Yeah, and then you could say, hey, this is Todd Falcone. We met at this, or whatever it is, right? Now, again, I don't have anybody where there's any who is this because I've made it a point to have, take notes on every person that I engage with. And so I would say this is a great daily habit to be in. It's just re-engaging with people, reconnecting. saying what's up, seeing how they're doing. You know, if the subject of business comes up, that's fine, but that's really not the purpose of it. The purpose is to make an emotional deposit and to create a situation where people see that you actually care, that you took the time to reach out. Like like I mentioned, all these neighborhoods that I lived in, I keep in contact with lots of people that I may not see very often, but I have definitely kept the relationship fresh. So if I were to reach out and say, hey, I've got something that's got me more excited than anything I've ever done in my life, I'd love to show you what I'm up to, they would be receptive to the message because of the perceived effort, right? Now, here's the other thing, and I want you to understand this. When you, this is like the Great Grand Canyon separator. You want to separate yourself from everybody and absolutely blow people's minds? Everybody go like this. You do. Okay, I knew you would do that. So here's what you do. When you find out what somebody's into, what their thing is, right? You discover through conversation, you know, you're chatting with somebody and they're like, oh, you know, I love country music. Oh my gosh, country. Oh, I live for country music, or whatever it is. Or they're Seattle Seahawks fan. Oh, I bleed green and blue. Or I guess Colorado, you know, Denver, you know, I'm a Seahawks fan. So sorry, but you know,
Wait, you know,
right.
I still
and you find out what that is, whatever it is. And what I would do is I would put that in the notes. Like you can discover that through conversation, and it's pretty easy actually to discover it just through watching people's lives. Like if you're on Facebook, if you followed me around on Facebook for like a couple weeks, you'd be like, that guy loves fishing, he loves skiing, he loves the outdoors, he's out in the trees. You could observe like in the background, oh, I don't know, is this guy hippie or something? He's got a lava lamp in the background. He's got some old Grateful Dead poster up above. Does he like the Grateful Dead? I probably wouldn't have that thing up there if I didn't like the Grateful Dead. I followed him around for a few years back in college, right? And so if you knew that, then what you can do, and this is so utterly powerful, is you can feed people their passion. And so you knew that I was a hardcore snow skier, and you were like on YouTube one day and you see this video and some skier doing something crazy and you thought, Todd Falcone, right? Because you knew what it was. It would immediately trigger something for you. You copy and paste it, send it to me, say, hey, Todd, I just saw this, figured you might enjoy it. It's 2 minutes of entertainment for me. I love it. It's one of my favorite subjects, but it also tells me, you know me. You know who I am. You just fed me something that I love. And it doesn't even have to be the person's deepest passion, but that's certainly like, do you know what somebody's really into? And once you discover what those things are, then you could feed it. You might be out about, see something. Like I can't go anywhere and see peppers and not think about my sister. Seriously, like it's like if I see a pepper, immediately like makes me think of my sister. My sister loves me; she's my sister. But I'll see something. Okay, I got to get it for my sister. Quick example. I'll actually give you two interesting ones. Okay, years ago, like 6-7 years ago, I did a post on Facebook about 1970s candies. Like, oh, remember the old stuff back in the day? Abba's, you know. Chick Stick, Mary Jane's, whatever stuff that you can't find, you know, you just don't find in the grocery store, right? And I did some post about it, and it was just like an engagement post, whatever. And like 2 weeks later, I go to my mailbox, and I grab this box, and I come home, I'm in my kitchen, I tear it open, and the first thing I see in there is a Chick Stick. I'm like, Chick Stick, and I pour all this stuff out on my counter, and it's all these candies from the night, like stuff from like a long time ago that you can't find anywhere. And there's a card from this guy, Don Kozielski. He's like, hey, I saw your post. Took my daughter around town. We went to these old style candy shops and figured you might enjoy some reminiscing. Make sure you share this stuff with your kids. So whatever, right? Now, look, if Don asked me for anything, and by the way, it wasn't my birthday. It was no special day. It was a day. If Don called me and asked me for anything, I would do it. Because I still talk about this years later. I use him as an example in trainings because of how he's made me feel. Like, so he could reach out for any favor he wanted, and I would do it. My former neighbor in Scottsdale, Andy, my wife and kids 2 summers ago, they went down to Scottsdale in July. I'm like, okay, I just left that place. You can have July there. I'm going to go get my rig, and I'm going to go camp out where it's not 120 degrees. So they went down, and I was hanging out at the house, and I get this package, and I come home, I open it up, and it's Bob Ross Happy Little Cloud Socks. No, remember who Bob Ross was? A painter on PBS, big giant hair, happy little trees. So like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I was Bob Ross on Halloween. I was a really good Bob Ross. It's not like I'm like way into Bob Ross. Like I live for Bob Ross, but I was definitely a very good Bob Ross. And by the way, if you're ever stressed out, just go to YouTube and watch a Bob Ross painting and all of your worries will go away. I don't know how you can be stressed out watching Bob Ross, right? And so I pull out these socks. I see Happy Little Cloud Socks. I'm like, oh, Bob Ross, so cute. I open up the card and it's from Andy, and she's like, hey, I was in the store the other day, saw these, and immediately made me think of you. We're going to miss having you down here, you know, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have a blast with the wife and kids. And like, and again, yet it was not any day other than a day. I mean, I told you she lives in Scottsdale. I don't help anybody move at my age. You get past like a studio apartment and you get past probably 25. I'm like, I'll help you hire the movers if you need help, but I'm not going to help you move. If you need money for the movers, I'll help you move, but I'm not moving anything. I'm past that. But if she picked up the phone and said, hey, Justin and I are moving, it's mid-August, 120 degrees, I'd pay my own airline ticket, fly down to Scottsdale, Arizona, sweat like crazy, and help them move for a couple days because of how she's made me feel. So you got to think to yourself, what are some of the things that you can do to make people feel better? This isn't about buying people or buying friendships. It's about being thoughtful. It's about surprising people when they least expect it. When, you know, reaching out to someone and saying hi, or doing something that's special, or, you know, we all know the value of going the extra mile. Most people do what's expected of them and they stop at whatever the expectation is. But when you make it your mission, in or out of business, like I always over deliver and I go past what someone expects of me, you can't help but win in every area of your life, right? And so think to yourself, like, in what ways can I over deliver in the relationships that I'm in? In what ways can I love the word wow. In what ways can I wow people? In what ways can I surprise people, make them think differently of me? And you got to do it from an authentic heart. You can't do this like, I'm trying to buy you. I'm trying to manipulate you. I'm trying to get you so you'll like me more. I mean, it's like you really care, and it takes you really caring enough to actually take the effort. And this does take an effort. It doesn't take a lot of effort, but it does take an effort. And, you know, when I think about when I was on the show, I was like laying out all these things for this guy, like, and he was like, I've never taken notes on anybody. I got a bunch of people on my phone. I don't have notes on anybody. Half the people I can't remember who they are, right? I don't have anybody that I don't remember who they are because my memory, and I've got over 6,000 contacts in my phone that I've had to put in personally. You don't just upload contacts into your phone. Every single contact that is in my phone are people that I've had conversations with, unless they're family members or the tightest of tight with me. I've got notes on all of those people. And I just think it's a really important, you know, habit to be in. And then when it comes to, you know, things like, you know, you're building a business and you say you're going to do something. Like, how often have we been with people that said they're going to do something and then they don't do what they said they were going to do? Right. I had my friend Kevin back in the day, and I met him. He actually cut me off in the water surfing. That's how I met the guy. I should have learned. I should have learned from that. Like, I took off on a wave and he like cut me off, and he apologized, and we became friends, and we started hanging out. And we both loved to camp, and we would go camping and fishing in like Big Sur and some of these areas in Northern California. And I quickly learned that he was very, very irresponsible. And it was like, okay, we're leaving at noon. It's noon. I'm packed up. I'm ready. I'm in the front of my house. And where's Kevin? It's 1. Where's Kevin? It's 2. Where's Kevin? You know, it's 3. Where's Kevin? And then finally I unpack my stuff and he shows up at my house at 6 o'clock. And he's like, let's go. I'm like, I ain't going anywhere, dude. I'm done. What are you talking about? I'm here. I'm like, yeah, 6 hours later. And I'm actually no longer friends with him anymore because I just couldn't handle the irresponsibility. Like, it's just, these are like simple things that honestly make the biggest difference, right? And if you understand like basic human nature, like people want to be loved, appreciated, wanted, and valued. And if we all know that's what we want, how can we love, appreciate, value, and show gratitude to individuals in our lives? And I get it, you know, it's busy, life's busy, stuff's happening. It can be easy to, you know, not do some of this stuff, but the impact that it makes in terms of the relationship is mind-boggling. So, you know, I think in those terms, like, how can I make people feel better? Like, when, you know, something I've taught for many, many years on stages is like, and there's a lot of great books, but there's one in particular I'm thinking about, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right?
Amen.
I mean, terrible title. Why would you want to have that book? How to Win Friends and Influence People? Of course you want that book. Like, the title, you know, they say don't judge a book by its cover. I'm like, yeah, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm buying that book. That sounds good to me. And there's a lot of great concepts that are taught in there. But one of the things that he teaches is the concept of being genuinely interested, not interesting. And, you know, so it's when you get into a business like this, it's easy to, and I don't know, I've been guilty of it. Have you ever verbally vomited on somebody? You're like, blah, 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 I got to tell you, blah, 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 blah. And you just want to tell them because you're so excited about what you're doing. And that's great. We're all enthusiastic and we want to tell people about it. But, you know, one of the most powerful things is getting people to talk about them, you know, to talk about themselves, which is their favorite subject, by the way. They are their favorite subject. So God gave us 2 ears, 1 mouth. Spend twice as much time listening and paying attention and less time talking. You ever meet somebody and they cut you off mid-sentence? They ask you a question, you're answering the question, they cut you off. Well, you know that they didn't care about what you're like, oh, I guess you didn't want the answer. Like, that's such a bad habit, such a terrible habit to be in. It's like, let them finish their sentence. Now, I mean, it's one thing if it's a political debate, if you're watching CNN or Fox News, they're all yelling at each other, and the guy or gal's in the middle, you got the left person and the right person, they're all screaming at each other. We're not doing politics here. We're building relationships and building a business to help people create financial freedom and greater health in their life. And so I just think it's really important that you kind of look at and analyze, what are you doing to make people feel special? What can you do to, just be different than everybody else? What can you do? Like, I have a rule, like if I'm at dinner, the phone's down, man. I mean, I've dined out a lot in my life, and I've been to so many different things where there's a family of 4 sitting at dinner and they're all like this the whole time. Like mommy, daddy, 2 kids. I'm like, why are you even at dinner right now? Why are you even together? You might as well be apart. And like, to me, like the phone goes down. In fact, it's funny. I just got a text from a guy who I had to teach a lesson to. Used to go to this place called Jack's up in Issaquah, Washington, this little steakhouse. And he and I would get together, once a month. And it was like our dude time. And we sit at the bar and have a martini and have a salad and a steak and hang out and regroup. And I mean, a couple times, like he'd sit there and he'd be on his phone the whole time. And finally I was just done. I said, listen, I only see you once a month. And I said, I'm not going to sit here and have dinner with myself with you on your phone. I said, I can be at home with my wife and kids right now and spending quality time with them rather than you spending quality time with your phone. Are you going to be on the phone or are you going to be with me? Made him very uncomfortable. But let me tell you something. He never did it again. And he actually thanked me later. And like, we're still friends to this day. He's my neighbor here in Bend, Oregon. Like, he's the one that got us to move to Bend, Oregon. He's the one that sold us on Bend, Oregon. I never even thought about this place. I was full on moving back to Seattle area, but I ended up here because of him. And I've had to teach, and it's not like I don't want to, I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, but sometimes it's like, I've been at dinners with 20 people after a speaking gig, and it's like, everybody's on their phone. And I've gotten up at least twice to leave. And like, where are you going? I said, I'm going to my hotel room. They're like, we haven't even ordered yet. I'm like, you guys got everybody else on your phone. You're not even paying attention to anybody at the table. I'm out of here. And they're like, oh no. And then we do a Jenga stack of phones and everybody's got their phone. And we've done this deal with like 20 people. And like the first one who grabs their phone buys dinner for everybody. And when you got 20 people at a steakhouse in Vegas, that dinner's 10 grand. I've had people that could not handle not having their phone. And they were like, fine. They took the tab and they grabbed their phone. They're so addicted to being on it that they can't even connect. And they're great connection devices, but I think these can interfere with our lives. They can enhance our lives. They can also interfere with it. And I have a phrase, wherever you are, be there. Like if you're with your husband, be with your husband. If you're with your kids, be with your kids. If you're with your distributors, be with your distributors. If you're with whoever, be there. Like if you're on vacation, vacation. If you're working, work, right? And it can be, and I'm not saying like, I mean, I'll take calls sometimes when I'm on a trip or whatever, but it's not like I'm sitting on the phone the whole time while I'm in Hawaii. I'm like playing most of the time. And if I got to take a call or a Zoom or something, I'll do it. But I think it's just really important for when you understand this game is about building relationships with people. But I don't want you to lose sight of the fact that the very first thing I said, every single day you need to focus on revenue producing activity. I would even go as far as to say this, and I've only got about maybe 8 or 10 more minutes with you and then I got to fly. But I would say it would be really good for you to make a law for yourself, make a rule. And I promise you, if you were to make this rule today and you didn't deviate from the rule, like this is a weird example. Forgive me for doing it. I'm just going to do it because I've done it for 6 months on Zooms. I'm going to do it with you. So none of you will leave your house tomorrow morning stark naked to go to the grocery store, right? I mean, even if you're in love with your body and you love the vitamin D and you're totally comfortable in your own skin with or without clothes, you ain't going to do it. Why? One reason, because it's against the law and you will go to jail. Can you imagine going into the Safeway store naked? Yeah, you're wearing your flip-flops and you got your mask on and people are like, hey, somebody calls the cops like, hey, some naked lady's in the store. She's wearing flip-flops. She's certainly keeping her feet clean and she's got a mask on, so she's obeying that, but she ain't got no clothes on. You can be handcuffed in a car going to jail, but you won't do it. Only for really, I mean, it's not socially acceptable to do it. It is against the law. And so that you don't do it. And the reason I use that example, it's kind of funny, but it's also, there's a lot of other laws I'm sure I just use that as an example and it kind of works. Like I don't know. I continue to use it on Zoom, so hope you can handle it. And what you need to do is create a law for yourself in this business, because it's such a fluid business, because you don't have a boss. Your sponsor's never going to do it for you. They might be there to assist you. But in the end, if you're going to create success here, you're going to create success because you show up, not because of anything else, but because you showed up. And I think we need to understand how important it is to show up every single day doing that revenue producing activity. So what I would encourage you to do, if I could make you do it, I would make you do it, but I can't force anybody to do it. I would say, pick a number. What's a number that you can hit every single day without fail in the time that you have available to build your business? So that maybe you build the business Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 5 to 9 p.m. Maybe you build it every single day. I don't know what your hours are. You do. You know what your schedule is and when your availabilities are to build the business. On the days that you know you put time into building your business and you know approximately how much time you have to commit to the business, what's a number for you based on the time that you have available that you can hit every single day without fail in terms of intentional business building reach out? So the way of phrasing it is, I never finish my day until I do X, or my day is never complete until I do blank. And the X or the blank is an intentional business building reach out, where you reach out to somebody and you're inviting them to look, right? Because that's really what we do. You're exposing people to your products or your business, however you do that. And it's a number that you need to be able to hit. So every time I do this, people are like, 20. I'm like, hey, I love big thinkers, but you ain't going to hit 20 a day, every day. What's the number you can guaranteed hit every single day without fail? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 5? I don't know what the number is. You will have to look at that for yourself. I would suggest you pick a number and that becomes your law. Like if it's 4:45 and I'm stopping my business at 5 for the day and I'm at 3, but my number's 5, you ain't done until you do 2 more. And that's like, what's discipline? Definition of discipline is giving yourself an order and following through on that order. That's really what there's different definitions, but that's essentially what discipline is. And we need to have a degree of discipline in this business. And I would think to yourself, well, I'm not going to give you the number. I'm not saying the number needs to be 5 or anything else, but let's say it's 5. Most people would agree, like, if my life depended on it, I could do 5 reach outs a day. If my life depended on it, my ability to eat and survive in this world and have a roof over my head, and if I didn't do 5 invites, I no longer exist on this planet, I'm pretty sure all of you could figure out a way to do 5 if it was really that serious. We know it's not, but we could try to build in those fake realities, right? So
I got to national marketing director in 2 years by reaching out to 2 new people every single day, Monday through Friday. And back then we didn't have internet and text and all of that. We had CDs, and I'd be some days walking around the mall, looking for somebody to strike up a conversation with. But it was a fun game to go, I got to find 2 new people that need to hear about what I'm doing.
Yeah. And that was that daily, everyday discipline.
Every day.
Yep. And look at where it got you. One of my other clients I work with, she was very limited in time. She literally made 1 call in a 5-minute commute into work, and she called that person on the way home. And she did a different person every single day for the first year, and she got to 6 figures her first year. Nobody's going to call that mega activity. My question to you is, in creating this rule, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, something that you can hit with every day, is where's your business going to be a year from now when you do it?
Right.
And I'm not going to ask you, like, do you do it? Have you done it? I don't really care, but I know how much of a difference it'll make, but it does take you really getting more focus on revenue producing activity. So real quickly before I split, Reagan had mentioned something that I do that I've been doing since 2008. It's called A-Team. It's a 12-week accountability and training program. And it's for people that want to do more. Anybody that wants to do more and needs a little push, a little help, it's for you. And basically, I mean, the analogy that I use when I talk about it is it's kind of like hiring a personal fitness trainer, but for your business. So if you've ever worked out one-on-one with the trainer, you work out more with the trainer. Why? Because I had Lee Ramos. He's like, you got 2 more. I'm like, no, I don't. He's like, yeah, you do. Push him. Right. So like, even after having trained with him for a long time and then not training, I never worked out as good without Lee as I did with Lee. Or even if you've never done a one-on-one stuff, you've been in spin or Zumba or kickboxing or yoga or whatever. I do yoga, pre-COVID, before like everything shut down. I was doing yoga like 4 mornings a week at 6 a.m. I can hardly do yoga at the house. Like, I definitely can't do yoga, not even close to the level as I can in the studio. I'm in triangle pose with 22 other people in the room, and I got the instructor right behind me. I used to think yoga was for weak people until I did yoga. I had no idea how hard yoga was. Oh my gosh, life altering. I'm in triangle pose, and my body is like, dude, lay down. just lay down. You don't got this. Sweating profusely, muscles shaking, everything in me and my body, my brain is saying, just lay down. You can't handle this. But then I'm looking at 22 other people. They're not laying down. I'm not going to be the only guy in my face in that room. I'm not getting in child's pose. And I got, the yoga instructor right behind me, which is always worse. Like right when you're ready to fall down, she's like right behind you. I ain't falling down. That's really what A-Team is for your business. The next one starts October 6th. Every week I teach you something amazing about how to make more money, how to be more productive. I teach you how to track your revenue producing activities. And I've done it since 2008. We've done it every quarter. I don't do things that over and over again that don't work. I'm smarter than that. When COVID hit in mid-March, we were almost sold out on our April start. And I just kind of knew, like something is not going to be good. Like, so I called my team together. And when we launched this thing in 2008, it was $4.99 for the 12 weeks. I called the team together and I said, hey, change the price to $99. And they're like, what are you talking about? We got almost sold out. I said, change the price to $99, refund the difference for all the people that have paid, and we're going to do something different. And they were like, okay. So I did a new video for the site. We changed the price point. We dropped it to $99. We put 500 people in that A-Team. Those people absolutely crushed it. We did our summer A-Team, which are we're moving on to week 10. We got a couple more weeks in that right now. I've got 500 people in that one. And my last one of the year, which I think is one of the most, right now is business building time. We're coming out of summer. Labor Day's done. It's time to go. This is the best business building time of the year for network marketing. And, as we look at the tail end of the year, and it's a great time for you to make sure you're laser focused. I'll give you the website real quick. I know we're at least halfway sold out. We will hit 500. The price is $99. It's $8.25 a week. I think you can afford me. Wow. I think it'll be good for you.
That's amazing.
So the website is toddfalcone.com/team, TEAM. And I do know that the registrations are still open. I expect that we'll probably, with all the trainings I'm doing this week, get this thing sold out by the end of the week. As soon as we hit 500, I only can take 500 on my Zoom, so we have to cut off registrations. But if you think you could be doing more, or I could teach you some stuff and you want to push yourself a little further, love to have you. You can certainly, if you got people on your team that aren't here, you can tell them about it. Say, I'm going to do this cool A-Team thing. Come and do it with me. And would love to have you run with us for 12 weeks. We start October 6th. Details are on that page. And Reagan, always appreciate you.
Always appreciate you
for having me on.
Thank you so much. So what do you guys think of Todd Falcone? You guys can unmute yourself and say thank you. And
thanks so much.
So needed it. Great stuff.
Awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
I have to tell you, I don't know what you guys got out of your little text, but I already have a new whole presentation set up for Sunday at 10 with one of my millennial girls who said, hey, thanks for reaching out. Can we do a Zoom? So there you go. So I have to say, all of that content was such great timing, especially with all of the heaviness that seems to have been kind of permeating, and just to be able to go out and kind of be a light for people and make their day, I think is such a great message. And obviously good things come to us when we do that too. So thank you, Todd. You are always the best in the industry. As you know, you're my very favorite. And thank you for being you.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a great night, and maybe we'll see you in A-Team. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks, Reagan.
Everybody.
Thank you very much.